Welcome to Of Sound Mind and Spirit. I'm Shelly.
And I'm Lisa. We're sisters walking together on a journey of faith. We're not perfect.
We definitely don't have all the answers. We're inviting you to walk with us as we explore ways we can better know and grow in our faith together. Welcome back to another episode from Of Sound Mind and Spirit. Hi, I'm Shelly.
And I'm Lisa.
And we are back. We've been on our grand vacation that we talked about in the episode Dodging Drama on Family Vacation.
And look, we're still speaking.
You know what, Lisa? It was a really good trip.
It was a good trip. It was. Well, I guess we just start with what did we expect versus what was the reality, right? I think we should start with, we can now tell people where we went and what was the purpose. Because I think when we recorded the episode, we didn't say where we were going. We just said we were going on a big vacation. And it was a big vacation.
It was a big vacation. Okay, so y'all, all of our mother's side of the family is from Sicily. And she's always wanted to take us as a family to Sicily. So we went to Sicily. We went to several towns where our mother's family is from. And I met distant cousins. And it was a really great time. But oh my gosh, the logistics.
17 people to travel from Houston to Sicily. And then at the end of, I think it was like 11 days. And then at the end of the 11 days, we each kind of went our separate ways and then took little side trips and then came back. So overall, tons of logistics. I'm gonna give it a shout out to our sister-in-law.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Because she did a fabulous job at working with a travel agent, and really she spent a lot of time.
And she had a vision too.
Right, of how the trip should, how we were going to migrate from when she'd been there before. So how to go from one place to the other and get us there and has experience with these types of trips. So we'll give a shout out to her because she really did a fabulous job. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if it had been us, we'd still be like, can we hitchhike? Should we Uber? Do they have Uber in this part of Sicily?
No. The answer is no.
No, they don't.
They don't. Or maybe they did, but they didn't even have trains. So think about that for a second. You're in Europe and there's not like a good train schedule or good trains to all these places.
They have a lot of black vans that move people.
Little cars.
You do want to get a van if you ever go to Sicily.
So we went, and it was our mother's dream, really, to have all 17 of us go and experience this. Like we said, our brother and his family had been before with them. So now it was Shelly and I's turn to take our families and go. And it was really just all about Mom and her experience. And that was our first point, I think, on our podcast about dodging drama was remember the why of the trip, right?
Well, what was the purpose of the trip? And the purpose was to be there for Mom because that's what she wanted. And I think we did a great job, actually. I'm really pleased with ourselves.
I think so too. I think that we started the trip with it was about the history focus, like her family history focus was the beginning of the trip. And I'm glad we did it first because it was exhausting and it was overwhelming at times. And
I kind of wish we'd done it not at the end of the trip, but I wish we'd had one more day before we went there. I'll be honest with you. Right. I think we should have taken the we had a trip, and then the rest of the group had a rest day at the hotel area where we stayed at a resort. And then I went with our parents and met other family members and had another full day. Then we had another day, and everything after that was just kind of each day was another place to go and see and visit.
After the first 3 days, it was more sightseeing than it was family.
Right.
Family history. Right.
But, at least did you have any idea what to expect on that trip?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, a little bit because I did a big trip like this, a 2-week, 10-person, 2-week trip last year. So to Europe. So like I had some thoughts of how the flights would go, how it would feel, like hotels, the traveling, the buses, the people moving. This was 17 people. So it was different. And of course, different. I don't speak any Italian. Nobody in our family speaks Italian. So that was, of course, difficult because last year visiting France and Spain, like we know enough language to get by. not in Italian.
Yeah. So anyway, I know we talked about last time making sure that we come together as a family.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I think that went very well. I know I was really concerned that there would be bickering or squabbling, especially between you and I, especially between our kids.
I think everyone was worried about you and I.
Oh,
honestly.
everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, they were all worried. I think they had bets.
I want to collect on those bets, y'all.
We did it.
Because we did. We did great.
We did it. I think we were worried because one,
it's stressful to travel like that.
It's very stressful. You're out of your element. And then you have your own individual family drama. So it's not just, us siblings, but, we each have our husbands and our kids. And then, you're trying to take care of the parents. And, it's just a lot of different moving pieces. And I would say that first day, I agree with you. I wish we'd kind of had another day just to acclimate, because that first day doing the biggest, it was a 12-hour day.
Yes.
Plus, and we were in the town that Mom wanted us to go to and meeting people and doing things. And it was a lot. I feel like that day was stressful. And there were
hot.
It was very hot.
Oh my gosh, it was so
even
hot.
for us Texas girls. Like they need some AC.
I think we're closer to the sun there.
They need some AC.
The elevation.
The problem was you didn't get any respite from it. Like you're outside, you're inside, you're on the bus. It doesn't matter. It's all 94 degrees.
It was only 94 degrees.
Yeah, I know. And it felt like horrible.
It did. It felt much warmer.
It felt horrible. Mm-hmm. So I will say that I know I had at least one moment where I was getting really like between the heat and tired and like crabby. I was getting a little crabby. And my sister-in-law is the one who was like, calm down. Just she could tell. She was like,
kind of looked like her when you did that.
She was like, Lisa, it's not worth it. Take a breath. And I was like,
she knows you.
She does know me. So I was like, okay. And then I realized the guys were out getting gelato and I was sitting in a really hot spot. And I was like,
why are you sitting in the hot spot? Why didn't you go get gelato with the guys?
I didn't know that was part of my issue. Like I didn't know they went for a walk. And then we text them. We're like, where are you? And they're like, oh, we found gelato. And I'm like, I'm sitting in the heat with a bunch of the kids and like, anyway, I did get gelato.
So I was with Mom. I was in the back room with all the records. Sorry.
Yeah. So,
I could have stayed there like a lot longer by the way.
No, I know. I know. We all know. We all know. Thanks. So family unity, I think one of the things that was something I didn't anticipate, but I really absolutely loved, was watching Mom and Dad.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Our parents were like stuck like glue the entire trip, and we've each shared on our personal Facebooks and Instagrams, and we'll share some photos on our Sound Mind and Spirit social. All the pictures of Mom and Dad walking down the street holding hands.
Oh yes,
I think we must have 20 from 20 different locations. Like everywhere we went, there they were, a little couple holding hands and walking down the street. And I think about the impact that made not only on us, like with our spouses and like couple goals, but I think of the impact it made on all the grandkids, watching them.
Absolutely.
Just be so together and in love and cute. So darn cute.
That's why we kept taking pictures.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what I noticed? I loved watching all the grandchildren step up and help Mom. So when we were on rocky terrain or in an area that it's a little harder for her to get around in, they all took turns coming up and offering her in their arm, like here, Nana, let me help you, or just holding her hand and giving her that elbow of support.
We have so many pictures of them.
It's
one of them walking with her, and Dad on the other side, but like one of them walking with her, and when she started to overheat. One of them, I'd brought a little portable electronic fan, kind of a last minute thought, in case the hotel rooms were hot, because again, AC. And, one of them ran back to the bus and got the electronic fan. And so I don't think I have a picture of it, but, I think my son was holding her on the arm. And then my nephew had the little electronic fan out in front of her blowing air on her, and like somebody else was giving her a water bottle. And so it was very cute the way everyone stepped up.
Yeah. So any tips out there for our listeners who might want to know what else they could do that worked for us?
I think the big thing that worked for us was actually doing the podcast beforehand. So my advice to all of you is to start a podcast and then talk about your potential family drama on a podcast.
No, I think it was having a plan. I think having the plan was actually one of the best things that we talked about on that episode.
Yes.
Because it gave us reason to, okay, so I couldn't actually visualize my kids play ball, and we're always talking about visualizing your at bat or visualizing how you're going to respond or react to a play. But I didn't know what to expect there. And I really didn't know with everybody, how we're going to do that. How is that going to work? Mm-hmm. What are we going to see there? Because I didn't set the schedule. I didn't look too hard at what else I might want to do there, because then you get the FOMO, like, but we didn't get to do this.
Yes. And there are so many things that we could look back and say, oh man, like I wish we'd done this instead of this, or this took too long, or, but it's a good part of not looking all that in advance because we didn't set the schedule. And so it was just easier to go with the flow. Yeah.
But my point is that having that plan in my mind, knowing that I'm not in control of the schedule, I'm not in control of the logistics, I need to just shut up and get in line, get on the bus, find my seat, be present to mom when she wanted to talk about these records or that records, or did I have something, or she forgot something and luckily I had it. Yeah. I think having that plan in advance allowed me to just take a breath, like you were saying, our sister-in-law told you, but I'm sure my husband more than once put his hand on my arm and said, hey, just let's keep, hang back and just keep walking.
Because of course there were hiccups. There were things that didn't go like they were supposed to, or things that took too long, or we were 17 people. We were late, a number of times, or just getting, like we talked about earlier, just getting in and out of all of the bus or the minivan, or who's sitting with who at dinner, or like seating 17 people for dinner or lunch is not easy, because if you're at one long table, the people at one end can't talk to the people at the other end.
That's true. I didn't like that.
And if you're at multiple tables, again, who's with who? Actually, so that was really hard.
I thought we did that really well, though. It felt like a lot of people rotated and took turns. So there were some nights that people were with mom and dad, and there were some nights that I know the last night was Brian and I and just some of the young adults. And at first I was a little like, man, why did all the adults ditch us? It's our last dinner together and y'all ditched us to go sit and.
Well, I thought all the adults would sit together, but
I really enjoyed.
Our young adults really have a mind of their own.
There wasn't a seat left.
No, by the time y'all got there, but I just mean they all sat, they sit where they want to sit. And then if you tell them to move, they give you grief. So, but it was cute because they all wanted to sit with mom and dad.
But I ended up with one from your family, one from our brother's family, and then my youngest. And we actually, once we got over being hot, tired, and grumpy and irritable, had a really nice conversation. Yeah. And it went very well. So But again, having a plan. So being aware that these things could take place and knowing how you're going to respond or react to them.
And then we also, I would say, one of the things we talked about was downtime in our podcast about dodging drama. We didn't have as much downtime as I would have liked. And that is a note for next time we do 17 people. Is just, we spent a lot of time driving, and maybe that's just because Sicily,
the logistics.
It just took we were people moving, going to see things that were kind of far away.
Well, it was easier to have one location as where we stayed overnight. We didn't have to pack and move, and then we'd have to drive an hour and a half one way or an hour one way to get to where we needed to be before we came back. Looking back, there's a few things I would not do. I would take off the agenda completely. But
and just giving us more free time, for sure.
Right. We only had that one day really to explore that one town.
Yeah.
And we did Ortesia.
And that's where your dress came from.
Oh, yeah. That's where my dress came from.
And I had a dress too, but it's dirty. I couldn't put it on.
So we had one day that we could kind of break apart and walk around together, or walk around in our own families. Yeah. And I know we kind of hitched on with Dad because he wanted to go to the same place we wanted to go. And we think we crossed paths with you a few times.
Yeah. We all run into, it's not that big a town, so we kept running into each other.
And the girls went shopping.
Yeah, that was fun. So that was fun, like all the little groups. And we ran into the guys. We're all sitting at like a sports bar watching, I don't know what sport it was.
Some soccer game.
Yeah, like drinking beer or wine or something, watching sports, sitting in the, in the little narrow street, with. So it was kind of funny.
One of my favorite moments was when in Ortesia, Mom, Dad, and whoever was with us. I don't even think my girls were with us. Anyway, we came out of where we had been for lunch. We came into the piazza, and we ran into our brother's family. They were having ice cream, and I think the girls had joined them. They met up with them separately from the shops. And you text me, and you're like, "Where's everybody?" And I took a picture of all of us.
I know, and that was another moment. I was a little like, "Seriously, y'all are all together, and I am like,
we just ran into them in the plaza. We're having gelato. You're like, "Come on, where are you?"
Yeah,
and then you rounded the corner like. Maybe must have been 2 blocks away.
Yeah,
the corner,
it's not that big a place.
5 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was fun, having us all kind of regroup and laugh about it.
And getting to split up. And that was while we were there, having that free day, and we had a little more time there. We did split up into groups more than other groups besides just family. And we did spend a lot of time as family, like my 5, your 5, that kind of thing. And but then there were times where we did get to mix a little bit. So I will say that when we were done, with the trip, I was much more exhausted this year.
Oh my gosh.
Than last year's trip. It was a lot. It was a lot.
I got home and I remember thinking, what do I do here again?
Yeah. Why?
What do I need to do? What do you mean there's not a breakfast buffet?
Exactly. Where's my view of Mount Etna while I eat breakfast?
Where's my cappuccino?
Yeah, and the jet lag hit me really hard this year, and I think it was because we were so busy. Like there wasn't downtime. We were so go busy, and then our flights, we had delayed flights and all that. But I don't know. I was just more tired. I felt like it was more taxing on my brain. Maybe it's because I don't speak Italian.
Mom and I both came home sick.
Oh, that's
Probably
right.
from something in the airplane. Mom was more sick than I was, but sicker. I should have said sicker. Anyway. So then that took its toll too, because I remember our suitcases didn't get unpacked for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Because we had a go bag. So we just everything in one bag. So we didn't have to unpack like toiletries and everything together.
Yeah.
And so once we got out the toiletries and we already had clean clothes, we just dumped everything in the middle of the floor for the laundry.
I will say, on the trip, I took emergency and vitamins and all that with me so that if anyone started to get sick, we could like power through. And I did start taking it towards the end of the trip. And I think that, and some of my kids did too, and I think that really saved us, honestly, from catching, because a lot of people came home with colds, and that saved us from getting sick at the end.
I brought them. I forgot to take them.
Take your take whatever you normally take.
Yep.
Like seriously, like don't not take your vitamins if you normally take vitamins. Take them with you, and then take one of those. I don't know all the names of those things, but people take things that kind of boost your immunity.
Zinc, vitamin C.
That's what emergency had: vitamin C and zinc and magnesium, I think, and something else. Yeah. So yeah,
that would have been good.
Yeah,
I brought them. Didn't take them.
Yeah. So
we were too busy.
Now, one of the fun things that we did, I think, as a family was we cooked together, took a cooking class. We did experiences together. Then now that we're back, we're going to get together this weekend, actually. And
it's our summer birthday celebration. We have so many people in the family with birthdays in the summer that instead of just getting with them here and there, we plan one big event, and our sister-in-law is hosting this year. Thank you. And we're going to come together, and each family is supposed to bring wine and cook 1 or 2 dishes, that we had loved in Sicily. So
that just made me hungry.
I've got some pesto at home. I
Home
practiced
doesn't help
it.
me.
I practiced last weekend, so it was a new recipe.
Yeah. I think that's part of it, isn't it? Then getting together and talking. We've been sharing pictures, and when you have those common experiences, it's especially for the kids. And we haven't talked about that yet. We talked about that in the podcast, like how are the kids, like what kind of parameters do we set? And
with our young adults.
So how did we always call them kids, but how did the kids do? And I love that as cousins, they now have this experience with each other that they can text and talk about and all this stuff, grow up together with, and with our parents, that they have very vivid memories of their grandparents and doing this together.
That's true. And they did. They went out in groups. The girls, I know, went out shopping. Your son was part of the men sitting at the table. That was one of my favorite things. When we came around that corner, we were walking to wherever we were going, a shop or something, and they were all the guys were just sitting at that table having a beer. And I think they'd already had one because they were all really relaxed and really laughing and having a good time. And
that was fun. Of course, not like us girls didn't stop and have, were you with us? We stopped and had wine and then a little, you weren't with us. My oldest was with us. And we stopped and just sat. It was like, why not?
No.
Why not just sit and split a bottle of wine and have just enjoy? And it was Mom and my oldest, and
I was probably at the puppet show. Our brother really likes this puppet show in Ortesia, and he and I we were having the gelato, and I said, "Hey, I wonder if we can still get tickets." And he said, "Yeah, get one for me and one of his kids, and I got one for my youngest and me." And we went there, and dadgummit, wouldn't you know it, the AC was out.
I'm telling you, AC issues.
Yep. It was hot and it was sweaty and it was packed. And I think I took a nap.
Yeah.
During part of it. My son loved it.
But it was, so for us, it wasn't our first time going overseas, but for some of your family, it was.
My son.
So how was it seeing it through his eyes? Like this first experience of foreign language, foreign stuff?
Well, he stayed really close with at least one adult member of the family, whether it was his sisters or his cousins or us. He told me later that he thinks his life begins at the age he is now because he's had a lot of firsts in his life. Early in the year, he had his first roller coaster, his first airplane ride, his first trip overseas, his first trip. He got to kayak a little. He
went to Disney.
Disney.
Oh, I thought that's where he went with his school trip.
Universal Studio. It was a school competition in Universal. Yeah. He just his first volcano.
That was everyone's first volcano, right?
Nope. Actually,
really?
I've been to. I've seen Mount. Which one's the one in Washington State?
Mount St. Helens.
I've seen Mount St. Helens.
Oh, okay.
I've been on Mount Rainier, but it's not an active volcano. I've been in Yellowstone, which is an active super volcano, and we've hiked the crater of the Capulan volcano that's in New Mexico.
Jeez. Okay. So Shelly's the volcano expert.
So it was really cool to get to go to Mount Etna. And how long were we gone before the thing erupted?
It was like a week, maybe. Yeah. We all joked about it because Mount Etna is steaming all the time. And we saw it. I called her. We saw Mount Etna all the time. And she was always steaming. And we would make jokes like you're walking on a crater and you're making jokes about eruptions because everyone there in Sicily and the eastern part of Sicily would kind of be like, oh yeah. I mean, like they've all experienced it because she erupts. And they were just kind of like, oh yeah, no big deal. And we were all like, oh, wouldn't that be cool to, be here when she erupts? And
I thought we missed it because the last eruption was in April.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, she erupted
steaming from April.
Right after we got home.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I know. I was kind of glad we missed it, honestly, because if you know it's all going to be okay, it's fine. But like I didn't need any extra stress. Like
it shut down the airport.
It shut down the airport. Yeah.
The city we were in was covered with ash.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have had the same experience.
Yeah, I don't need that. It was cool, but I don't need it. But was it cool seeing the trip through his eyes? That kind of first.
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
See, I love watching my kids see, like, okay, so like my youngest, she speaks really great Spanish. And watching her, take like the Duolingo skills that she's been learning in Italian these months and her knowledge of Spanish and stuff. And then, walking up and being brave and like trying to order gelato in Italian. And then she actually was having a whole conversation with the woman in Italian about our family. And she was trying to explain like why we were there and who we were related to and all this stuff. And I mean, it wasn't without complication. Don't get me wrong. She wasn't like fluent in Italian, but it was so interesting. And the woman responded to her. And it's just neat to see.
She did a great job.
To see them, just come out of their shell and try something and do something different. And, watching my kids eat new foods, when they put something in front of you and you're like, what is that?
I will say we ordered some things that we didn't know if we'd like just to see what they would be like, what they would taste like.
Yes, of course.
One of our favorite surprises was this grilled octopus.
Yes. Oh, that was good.
Oh my gosh, it was fantastic.
Yeah. I love, like having those firsts and having those experiences and like seeing, like, because you don't know. And when you're at home, I think a lot of times we live very insular or comfortable with, like you go to the same restaurants.
Well, we get into a rut.
Yeah. And so going somewhere new and kind of opening your eyes to foods or even some Italian foods that we've had or like, let's just say eggplant.
Oh my gosh, eggplant.
And like the ways to prepare them. Or there was this pasta salad that we had somewhere and it was so simple.
Agrigento.
It was Agrigento. Yeah. It was so simple, but good. And it's one of those things you could make in advance, have it in the fridge and bring it out. Like if you're entertaining or having people over or something. And so those are the kind of things I love about traveling because it just opens your eyes to not necessarily something radical, but just something so simple that you just maybe didn't think about before.
And how many times did mom say, oh, this is just like I had when I was a little girl? Was it a salad that they put on the table?
There was a salad, yeah.
And mom took one bite. She saw it and then took a bite. And she's like, oh my gosh, this is the salad my parents used to make for me when I was little.
Yeah, probably with all the fresh vegetables.
I think it was lettuce, tomatoes, and cucumbers.
Yeah. I know. Again, simple, but different
the
seasonings
flavors
or the way it's prepared. Yeah. So I love that. And that was part of our cooking class was like learning how to make certain things. And it seemed simple. I haven't tried it yet by myself, but it seemed doable. I think
it'd be simple.
Right?
Yeah. It's a matter of doing though.
Yeah.
Because the recipe I tried last weekend, it was a lot of ingredients that I had to go and really follow how to put in there, but it came out fantastic. Now, I will say this, that it spoiled me. There were foods that I was able to eat over there that did not bother me, like they bother me here. And the flavor is completely different. Two things, olive oil and ricotta cheese.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would say bread, too. I didn't notice as much in Italy as in mainland Europe, but or in Sicily as in mainland Europe. But bread is very different there.
I miss the ricotta cheese. I've bought some here. I even bought the expensive brand, and it's just not the same. It's just,
Yeah.
Nope.
And the other thing that I really love about eating, and we'll say Europe, because that's where I've had the most experience recently, is the seasonal way of eating. That, we asked why there were certain things on the menus, but not other things that maybe you think of as Italian or whatever. Like we didn't see a lot of, I can't think of vegetables, but like certain vegetables. And why did there wasn't a lot of calamari on the menu. And they're like, because like they follow the sardines or swordfish. We had a lot of swordfish, and they follow
on every menu.
They follow the sardines or something, and so it's that season, and everywhere had like eggplant like crazy, and so the chef was telling us that cooking class that it's very seasonal, and so you eat fresh and seasonal, and it was so funny because she asked us, she's like, well, what seafood's in season right now for you at home? And I'm like, I have no idea. I just buy what's at the grocery store.
Shrimp, because we live in the Gulf.
Right, but is that seasonal or not? Like, I don't know what season. I know vegetables sometimes what seasonal.
I don't anymore.
But you can get almost everything year round. It's just the difference in price. And everything's expensive right now, so who knows? So
it was that way when we were kids. I remember that when we were kids, it would be seasonal.
I don't remember that. I just remember eating a lot of canned vegetables. Sorry, Mom. So that is something that I come home with, and I think, how do I incorporate these things? And I love that about traveling. I come home and I go, how do I incorporate this? How do I change this? Or how do I experience something different?
So what changes have you made?
Well, we kind of had a hurricane. So we kind of had a hurricane barrel hit us. We're fine. That kind of, messed up.
Interrupted schedules.
Interrupted everything for a couple of weeks because we didn't have power for a week. So yeah. But I do have and I found my list from last year. And I remember when I came home last year from Europe, I was like, I'm going to make fresh food, no more frozen foods, all that kind of stuff. And I will say this year, not having power for a week and having to throw out everything in my fridge and freezer. And I am well on my way to eating no frozen foods because
You're afraid to put anything back in the freezer.
Yeah.
I haven't put anything back in my freezer.
Only buying enough for what I can eat, what we're eating currently. So I don't have, I did buy a frozen pizza, just to be honest. But I don't have a lot in the freezer. So it is interesting. And I have come back. You're going to use this against me later, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
I did come back wanting to try recipes and work on cooking a little bit more. So because it's not something that I enjoy, and it is something that I make dinner, but I kind of avoid it. So I go with the easy option. So I really want to, between last summer and this summer, I want to work on that.
You know what I would recommend to you? Watch more cooking shows on TV.
I watch a lot of cooking shows.
Really?
I watch a lot of cooking shows.
I find that when I watch cooking shows on TV, I start to cook more.
No, I just want to eat what they're making.
No, but then I'm like, oh, that looks easy. I think I could do that.
No,
what ingredients do I need? And I can make a list and go and get them.
I have a lot of people who like to cook in my family, so I just send it to them.
Well, okay, then. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you wanted to be the one cooking.
No, I want me personally, not my family. My family cooks. That's why I can avoid it a lot of times.
If I thought y'all could pull this off, I would say that's a date night thing. You and your husband cooking a
we
meal
could
together. He could be showing you tips. Let me show you how to stir.
I've made some jokes about him cooking for me, but hey, honey.
In the movies they're always cooking a meal together, tasting something.
Oh, we used to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. That is on my to-do list for empty nesting. Empty nesting, Husband cooks for me while I sip wine in candlelight and watch him. How's that?
And then the magic dish cleaning fairy comes up afterwards.
Actually, I don't mind doing dishes. So that part, that's kind of been our marriage. He would cook dinner and I clean up. Okay. I don't mind it. Yeah.
All right.
But if I start cooking, somebody else is starting to clean up. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, Lisa, do we have anything else we want to tell our listeners about our trip or about how we dodged the drama? Because we totally did. I was so impressed.
I will say it went, like I said, I think our whole family was impressed. I think they were all surprised. We were exhausted, and I really worried about the exhaustion, being the ruin, right? The ruin of the trip, because that's when a lot of things can happen. But no, it went well. And we were just really tired. And we can share more. I don't think we've shared any of it on social of Some Mind and Spirit. And
no, not yet.
We are not going to overload you. We came home with
1,700
5,000 photos. That
was just the shared family.
Yeah. So we're not going to do that. But I think it would be nice. And I think there's another thing that we would like to do a separate podcast episode about.
Yeah, I have
kind of the family experience, and
I have a topic in mind for a later podcast about visiting your family's roots. So
yeah. And I would also add, it was overwhelming the number of churches we went into, and the history and all of that.
The history, definitely.
I think that we have some beautiful pictures and videos we could share of the churches and the places that we went into.
Pro tip, take a picture of the sign, the name of the church before you go in or immediately after you walk out. Because most of the time I'm looking at my photos and going, now wait, which one of the 3 churches we went into in this city, in a 10 block radius?
Not even that much. We went into a little town. I forgot how many people they said there were. And I looked it up, 33 churches, Catholic churches.
Oh, I know we passed 6 and we went into 3. So
yeah, exactly.
Ask me if I remember which one it was.
Yeah. So. And lastly, I will say, just for us, our little side trip was back to Spain to see our foreign exchange student, to see Clara and her family. And you can go back. She and I recorded an episode. The audio is not super, but she let me interview her when she was here, and I don't remember the name of it, but it's in the podcast. And I will say that little side trip was fabulous, and my husband and I very much want to kind of continue going to visit and spend time with them. And it's amazing how much we feel close to them and like family. And we can talk about that later because I got to meet the grandparents and all of that. And
that'll be a good episode.
It was really a great experience. And I'm just still surprised at how God brought her into our lives and how we're now Morales family.
Yeah.
So they're Jones and we're Morales.
I really do see that. I don't know if that's true for everybody that has a foreign exchange student, but I have loved watching the relationship grow and how much she is a part of the family.
In fact, she WhatsApp messaged me this morning before we started doing this. So because she was at a bookstore and she had a book and she's like, "Oh, you read this book? My mom wants to read this book. What do you think?" So it's a really cool
family
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, our family side trip was we just stayed in Rome for an extra few days and visited a few things that my daughter studied in Rome. So she wanted to show us a few things that she wanted to show us a few things that she had seen and that I had seen with her. But our oldest daughter and, of course, my husband and our son had not been to Rome before. So, and I'm actually inspired from that trip to do another podcast, and that one would be about relics. So we can talk about relics in another podcast.
That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm. I got a good story.
I got to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And lastly, before we go, we're recording this on video.
Yes, you forced me into it.
Something that's different, and if you're listening to us on the podcast, something that's different about it, and we might sound a little different than usual because we are actually sitting next to each other.
Yes.
We are not doing this from each of our houses on the computer, which is how we normally do it. And we are sitting next to each other, having a conversation and video. Because while we were on the trip, that was something we talked about. Like maybe we make it just more conversational and be able to share that way. So we're excited. I hope that it works. I hope when we stop recording, we're like, oh my gosh, that was good. Instead of we record and go like, oh, that sounds terrible.
Yep. And that the lighting worked. And we'll probably have to tweak that. But
so we'll see. But we're excited to try something new. And
I don't know, if you're watching, if you're listening and you want to see something, you want us to try to do something, let us know. We're very open to, well, I wouldn't say I'm very open to trying new things, but I'm willing.
Shelly is willing to try. But I just thought it might be more engaging, not only for you to listen and to watch us, but really for us to sit together and, just be more conversational, that it feels a little more informal to sit here and have a chat versus when we're sitting on the computer with our headphones on in front of the monitor, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
it does seem easier to have a conversation.
And she can't give me the evil eye because you're watching.
I can.
And my dog this time.
Oh my gosh, that's the quietest. Did you drug him? That's
no, I didn't.
He's ever been.
If you're on watching the
history
video
of our podcast,
you can see his little body here next to me. He's passed out asleep because this is the chair that he and I sit in every morning when I do my spiritual reading and scripture and prayer and stuff. And so he's used to sitting here in this chair with me. So hey, maybe we found our new spot. He's quiet.
I think so. All right.
Okay.
My kids would be like, Jinx, you owe me a soda.
A soda. A Coke. What kind?
Dr. Pepper, of course. Like there's a question.
So we hope you enjoyed this, and let us know that if you want to pop over to YouTube. If you're listening to us and you want to see us in person, because maybe we sound too much alike and you want to figure out who goes with which voice, pop over to YouTube, leave us a comment, share it, subscribe, whatever. Just let us know. And if your family traveled this summer, which I hope that you, whether it's a day trip or a 17-person big old trip, let us know how to go.
Yeah.
Did you dodge that drama?
I'm thinking of one person that we know who took a road trip with her family across the country.
Oh, that's true.
I'd love to know how that went.
I want to hear about that road trip. Stuck in the same car for like 2 weeks with your kids and your family. Yeah.
And I want to know how they responded to you teaching them about history on this U.S. road trip too, because I tried to introduce history and everybody in this family shut me down.
There's only so much, right? Like...
Do you see the Greek influence here? Can you see how the Arab influence came in the 1200s here? Can you see? I can still do it.
Yeah, I know. I know she can. Wait for that episode. Okay.
All right, everyone. I think we're out. Give us a like. Give us a follow. Please share us with your friends. We'd love to welcome other guests in.
And let us know if you want us to keep doing this on video.
Okay.
Bye.